Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host Brian Keane, online fitness coach, nutritionist and 3-time best-selling author, here to help you by deconstructing expert guests on all things health, fitness and mindset. Today's guest is a round 4 appearance on the podcast with Queens Don't Quit founder Maeve Madden. Today's podcast is very similar to our previous episodes. Maeve is one of my favorite people. I absolutely love chatting to her on and offline. And in today's podcast, we jump around as we have done in several other episodes. I don't get too much into her backstory. For anyone that isn't familiar with Maeve, she's a model, actress, lifestyle and fitness blogger, personal trainer, qualified nutritionist, but also, as I mentioned, the founder of Queens Don't Quit, which is a community educating women to help them improve their health, body confidence and find a new love for fitness. In today's podcast, we talk about the Queens Don't Quit evolution, home workout misconceptions, overcoming the fear of lifting weights, Maeve's current eating regimen and how cutting out a certain food has healed her gut, going sober for 80 days and its effect on her sleep and skin, amongst other things. So another super enjoyable conversation with one of my favorite people. Today's episode is Maeve Madden on why working out at home is better than the gym, nutrition advice for beginners, and why Queens don't quit. Enjoy. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the podcast. This is a super short introduction because this is our round 4, if I'm not mistaken. Round 3 was episode 306 on the 7th of December 2020. Maeve Madden on body confidence, don't let your mind bully your body, and social media insecurities. And we have touched on everything from beating the bloat and nutrition to all things beginner fitness mistakes. Today's episode, we're going to have a catch-up chat. Maeve, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. I feel like so much time has passed and so many things have happened over the years that we've been podcasting.
Talk to us about some of those changes, because when you think of like extreme life changes, normally getting married, moving, they're right up there. And obviously even Queens Don't Quit was quite in its infancy even in 2020 compared to where it is now. Talk to us about all the changes over the last few years, because I think that's a nice little catch up before we jump into some of the topics we're going to cover in today's show.
Like briefly, because that could be
it's up to you. Again, none of our conversations have ever been structured, Maeve, so feel free to go as long or short as you want.
Well, from 2020. So 2020, I obviously, for those who don't know me, hi, I'm Maeve, and I have a fitness app, actually one of Ireland's top, if not top fitness apps, called Queens Don't Quit, and that came out of lockdown. So that's where we left off. Really, I just started that, and then it was only a website, and now I developed an app from scratch, like literally built it up from the beginning. We had a lot of failures, so we can talk about that. It was not an easy road. It was rather bumpy, and also I got married as well. So a lot has happened. I'm like 2020 was last year, but it is actually 2023. The time goes so quickly.
Well, particularly 2020 because of the way the world was. Like I've frozen in time between my age and everybody around me, because the world in my mind, as you said, is we're in 2021, just because it feels like it was frozen in time. It's such a weird feeling. Talk to us about the app and some of the failures, because we are going to talk a lot about home workouts today, because a core part of your content and the way that you support people is through those home workouts, because it's brilliant to cut through that gym anxiety that people have. It saves on time. So I want to touch on that, but talk about some of the app failures, because obviously it's up and running now. It's one of the most successful, if not the most successful one in Ireland, as you mentioned. But what were some of the teething problems, for the lack of a better term?
Where do I begin? And you know what? It's a great learning experience. And a lot of people may look at our app now and think, oh my God, that is amazing. It is an incredible app. And we're constantly updating it and creating new features. And I do. I want it to be the best that it can be, not only in Ireland, but globally. And you may think, well, that's crazy. But you know what? Why not? Why not have one of the top fitness apps, especially for women across the world? But it definitely, we started actually on Instagram, and we moved from Instagram then to a subscription-based website. And that was about 8 months after I had first kind of started the Instagram lives and created Queens Don't Quit throughout lockdown. As we realized, well, first off, it was a major issue. I was like, no one's ever going to sign up for this, but they did. And that was amazing. And I do think I do really doubt myself a lot. And I do put myself under a lot of pressure because I love everything to be really perfect and of amazing quality. And I think that the members of my community really know that. And I put a lot of effort in, but we built an app with a company soon after we launched the website, and they just kept delaying and delaying and delaying. And it was a really tough road, and we went live, and I'd moved to Dubai in the middle of all of that with like a week's notice. My husband told me, he was like, I think I have to move to Dubai. And I was like, oh, okay. And this was like at the end of lockdown. Sorry, I jump around in my head. It's the ADHD. So we are in 2021. We've got the website. We're looking at app developers and things like that. And then Andrew says, yeah, we're engaged, by the way. So we just got engaged on New Year's Day of 2021. And then he says in June or at the end of May, so it was just before my birthday, I think we're going to have to move to Dubai. And his family kind of have like a business here and stuff. And I was like, right. And I was like, when? And he was like, in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, right. And I'd only ever been to Dubai on holiday. And if anybody has been to Dubai, they'll know that it's very much like lights and glitz and Jumeirah Beach, JBR and all of that. And that was all I really knew. And I don't know anybody here either. Well, I didn't. Now I do, because the Irish community here is amazing. And it was an awful time because we were heading into a red zone. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm heading into a red zone. I'm not like, if I go there, when will I be able to come back? I don't know. But anyway, you kind of do what you have to do because you're getting married at this stage, and you're like, well, I'm obviously going to support my partner and I can work from anywhere, because that's the joy. If you are a personal trainer or you have an online, like your online coach, you can work from anywhere. So joyful for me. So we moved to Dubai, and I moved to Dubai in June. And if anybody knows, June in Dubai is like the center of the sun. It is hot. Oh, you've been. We were supposed to go skydiving, remember?
Yes, we
I
were.
went skydiving. Yeah. It was amazing, exhilarating. So anyway, it's absolutely roasting, and I don't really like the sun. So you always notice I'm always very pale. So I don't really actually enjoy being in the sun, but sure, I'm here anyway. So I'm in Dubai, and I kind of like continue growing Queens Don't Quit. And I'm doing the live workouts from Dubai, and it's actually working out really well because I have this time difference and actually use that to my benefit, where I'm actually more rested, more enthusiastic doing the workouts. And I feel like I'm giving a lot more to the Queen community with this move. So it actually works out, because at the start I was like traumatized. I was like, I don't want to be so far away from my family. I've been in London for like over like 16 years, and now I'm in a totally different country. I'm in my mid-30s, didn't think this was going to happen. This is something you do when you're in your early 20s. Lo and behold, it's actually really common. And like loads of people I know who are my age and older are moving here, or to Australia, or to America, or, moving on. And fascinating. Anyway, so I have this app, started with this company, was going well, promised me the world. And they very much were, I didn't have to put that much money actually up front. And I was like, oh, well, that's great. I knew the person as well. Anyway, it turned out that we were launching, it was to be launched before Christmas. It was the 1st of Jan. I remember it still wasn't ready. We had worked all through Christmas. I only had Christmas Day off. We were back like literally doing 14-hour days, trying to get everything sorted. No one was helping from the tech side. It honestly gave me the world's worst anxiety. But of course I had to keep a smile on my face because I am a queen and I do not quit. And anyway, it launched and it didn't work. And it was just a disaster. But luckily, I have an amazing community who are very understanding. And I was like, don't worry, we're going to sort this. So we went back to the website, built a new website, and was like, we're going to stick with this. Then I found an amazing developer who has built some of the biggest fitness apps out there. And they were like, yes, you give us all of your money that you've ever earned in your whole entire life and more, and we will build you an amazing app. And I actually was like, you know what? What have I got to lose other than my whole entire life savings? But I really had faith in where we were going and in the community that I built. And I was like, if I'm doing this, I'm going to go all in, because why not? Like, I've built an app. It was rubbish. It didn't work. And now look at me. I should have just invested it all in the start, and maybe I'd be 6 months ahead. So anyway, I put everything into it. And then we launched this amazing app, and it's really good. And we kept the website because people are used to the website. So we actually run both on app and on website, which is very different, because most people just choose one or the other. But we decided to do both, and it's working out great. And we're kind of like continuing to develop that and launch new features. We have gym programs, we have nutrition, we have everything, and yeah, it's going really well. It's kind of going from strength to strength. So the leap of faith did me good.
Sometimes you just got to commit on the front end when you think something's going to work. But I am going to double back on the workouts and the nutrition, because it's obviously all part of the app. But I'm curious from the outside, Maeve, and I have my own perspective as someone that knows you personally, and the success of Queens Don't Quit makes so much sense to me, because people are buying into you, buying into the message. But it seems to be even going past that when it comes to your audience, and the message from, as you mentioned there, Queens Don't Quit, when it comes to building an app for your fitness community versus somebody trying to lose weight versus somebody trying to, get the job they want or have a more abundant lifestyle in whatever it is they're looking to achieve. That message transcends. Why do you think the message Queens Don't Quit connects so deeply with your audience and the new people coming in on the top?
I think initially we were all in lockdown and we were all going through a really hard time. The first 2 weeks were great. Like, we thought it was Christmas. People were putting up their Christmas trees again. We were like, this is amazing. It's like Christmas. We have to stay at home. And then the 2 weeks turned into 4 weeks. And the 4 turned into 6. And then all of a sudden it was like, we're here and we are stuck. And I had actually started the workouts from the very, very beginning. So the minute we hit lockdown, I was like bang on it. Day one, I'm doing live workouts, because I myself, and I think we've spoken about this previously, suffer from, I would get awful anxiety if I didn't train or if I didn't do something. And I'm stuck in a tiny, tiny London apartment. I don't even have outdoor space. You're not even allowed to go outside. And I don't even have anywhere to go. I don't even have a balcony. I had a window that barely opened. So I feel like a lot of people resonated with that, and everybody was stuck in the same boat. We were all going through the same things. We were all mentally, obviously on different levels, going through the same thing. And that is why and how Queens Don't Quit was born, because it was like, we're all here, we're all doing it together. And it was funny. And it was funny in lockdown. And then it kind of like, we broke out of lockdown, and it came from, just being Queens Don't Quit in lockdown to actually applying this to like everyday life and everything that everyone was going through. And because it's such a tight community, that's really what it is. It's not so much about, obviously it's about the workouts and stuff, but it's about being part of something, and that everybody's been through that exact same thing together. And I think people really apply it to everyday life because they talk to each other in the community. They listen to each other's stories. People are constantly sharing what's happening in their lives, and this happens daily on live or on demand in our classes. I just feel like, oh, there goes my light. That did quit. The light quit on me. But I just feel like once we came out of lockdown, and started getting back to normal, that people wanted to keep in that, because they used the platform to get through probably one of the worst times in everybody's life. And so that has really just kind of like stuck with them.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, because it was built from a difficult time, and it was a community that was built, as opposed to here are some home workouts. But now with that, a transition into the home workouts, because this is something that I think is such a great area. Like, you are so consistent with this when it's through social media, obviously through the app, of putting out workouts for people to do at home. Why do you think, Maeve, home workouts work so well for people in comparison to a gym? And it's not a better or worse case, but there's definitely pros and cons to both. But you seem to have so many people who have just got the pro element of training and working out at home. From your experience now doing this for several years, why do you think home workouts work so well for people?
I think, you know what, this wouldn't have happened had we not gone into lockdown, because even myself, well, I was such a gym goer. I probably would have been like, oh, I'm not doing a home workout. Like, why would I do that? I'm going to get up and go to the gym and do the exact same thing as I do in a home workout at the gym. I think that's when people realized, and when they realize, actually, I can get results at home if I just invest in a couple of weights. At the start, it was all cardio based because we were in lockdown. And I mean, the heaviest weight I had was about a 3-kilo dumbbell. And I was like, what am I going to do with that? And that was all I had. So when I first started, and also it was just a bit of crack, we were jumping on the Venga bus and we were bopping around to Shania Twain and Cher and having a jolly. And I was hungover every single morning from drinking all the Prosecco the night before. And then it got serious. After a while, we were in lockdown for a long time. And I was like, well, we need to do other things. So, and it's so funny, I go back and I look at the timetable. It was like, we started at 10:30. Like, now I run 6 a.m. classes, but during lockdown, it was 10:30. And even that was a push. It was a struggle for people to get out of bed at 10:30 in the morning for a Queens Don't Quit workout. But that was how it started, and it was really catchy. I used these kind of like 90s tunes, and it was super fun. And the workouts were really difficult. It was super high intensity, but obviously I very much cater for everybody. So modifications all the way. If you were a beginner or an advanced, it didn't really matter because we did it all, and we still do. But then as time progressed, and of course as the app or the website progressed, and I even added in more trainers, we started adding in like, okay, actually, we're coming out of lockdown. Oh, well, actually we're still in lockdown. So we're about 8 months in. Like, this is how I would train you in a gym 1-to-1. So if I'm your personal trainer, we're not doing HIIT classes every day, girls. We're going to do our upper body strength, our total body strength, our core strength and our legs and our glutes. And we're actually going to set out a plan. And that's what we're going to do. So everybody then, if they wanted, invested in some dumbbells. And it started out like that. And then, of course, as time has progressed and we've added in more trainers, now we run lots of different programs. So we have, our Slay the Weights program. And that's just absolutely, total body strength, 5 days a week. We've got our Fast Track Fitness, which is for people who can't dedicate the time, because not everybody can. Like we always say, and especially it's so easy for us. It's so easy for me to say, you can give me an hour of your day. You can give me 40 minutes of your day. Not everybody can. Like, this is our job. It's my job to be a personal trainer. It's my job to train someone. So, and it's the same. And I always tell the queens, I'm like, it's our job to be here and show up every day. I don't expect people to show up every day, but I'm like, give me at least 3 times a week. So then we created this program called Fast Track Fitness. And Fast Track is 10 to 30-minute workouts. So you can do a 10, a 15-minute, 20-minute, or a 30-minute. And they're short express classes or big classes. So it'll be like an express total body, an express lower body, or combat queens or something. We run beginner classes as well. We're actually introducing pre-postnatal. And it was kind of, back to the question itself. So it was, when we started doing this, we noticed that people were starting to get really good results. And I was myself, so started taking it seriously. The drinking stopped. As many people did. Like, I know if you're listening that you probably indulged in quite a number of beverages. If you are a drinker, not everybody is, throughout the lockdown period, and making banana bread galore and all this, so all of that kind of stuff. And it was like, actually, this could be our life. So we're going to have to get serious and get back into a normal way of life, like a life that's going to make you feel healthy and good and confident in yourself. And so then I started kind of like buying heavier weights, and the girls did as well. And, we were progressing and progressing. And then lo and behold, I was like, oh my God, everybody's getting these amazing results at home following these programs. And not only that, but like we had a lot of people, and it is a lot of people who, one, never went to the gym before ever, were afraid to go to the gym. Two, a lot of moms who wouldn't have the childcare for them to take, like it's a luxury, if you're a full-time mom and you're at home to be like, I'm away to the gym for an hour. Not only that, you have to go there. And at home in Ireland, you're hopping in the car. Very few people live walking distance to a gym. You're hopping in the car. You have to get to the gym. You have to take off your coat, put it all away. Then you have to look around and say, what am I doing? And if you don't have a plan of action, you're going to the treadmill, without doubt. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to the treadmill. And you're going to go on the treadmill and you're going to watch everybody else lifting weights. And you're going to be like, oh, I don't really want to go over there. That guy's massive. And oh, there's a group of guys over there. And oh, Jesus, there's your girl who's the big booty girl and she knows what she's doing. I'm just going to go on this treadmill and hope for the best. And then probably feel really crappy about yourself that you only did that, but be like, oh, okay, I did something, and then leave and then lose momentum because it's not exciting. You're not enjoying it. You don't have a plan. And then you're going to get home and it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours off your day when you could just join Queens Don't Quit and get an excellent, completely guided 40-minute strength class in your living room. Like literally because we have the chat. So we have it's either live or you can do it on demand. But if you're doing it live, there's a chat. And in the mornings, I'll be like, it's 6 a.m. So that's what time, the UK and Ireland time. And the girls will be like, I'm just in bed. And I'm like, get up. They're like, I'm ready. So because I'll do like a little talk at the start, usually like a 90-second to 2-minute intro of what we're doing, the weights we're using, etc. And then they hop out of bed. So they're literally rolling out of bed and getting these workouts done and then going and finished. You're finished. You've done an amazing workout before 7 a.m. A lot of the time people are like, girls will be like, oh, I hear the kids getting up, or oh, the baby's this, or about to hop in the shower, run into work. And everything's done, and you've got it done by 7. You've had a great workout. You've had a little chat with your online community, and you feel great about yourself. What's not to love? I don't know what the question was that you asked.
No, it answers it. But I love this. This is how, and for anybody that wants to go back and listen to previous episodes, they all follow this routine where we go off in a million different directions. We always get back on track by the end. We just take the scenic route to get there. Maeve, one of the things I want to ask, because this is what I've noticed from the outside following social media more so than the app, is that you seem to be reducing the fear of weight training and lifting heavy and doing resistance training with a portion of your community. Have you found that? Because something that I've experienced as a coach working with people for years is, and I don't want to generalize, but a lot of women are afraid to lift heavy, either because of the misconception that they'll get big and bulky, or that they don't know how and they're afraid they'll look silly. Have you found that the app has reduced that friction and educated them? Because some people think home workouts, they think body weight, jumping jacks and burpees, but you're doing a lot of resistance and strength work. Did you find that you've been able to minimize and completely override that fear in some cases with some of the girls that are in that app?
Oh, I would say 90% of the people, of the queens on the app have overcome that. And that's because we are, you have a group of trainers from, we have a trainer in Dubai, a trainer in the south of France, trainers in London and in Ireland, all coaching and taking class. They're all one-to-one trainers as well, just like I was. And they're literally training, group style. So yes, it is a class, but as if it was one-to-one. So like, our strength class, for example, I take a strength class on a Friday. It's called Finish Strong, and it's a leg day. And we're doing, you're doing your big squats, your deadlifts, your sumo squats, you're doing supersets, giant sets, all at home. You've got you've got your 90 seconds rest because we're trying to go heavier. We're trying to lift heavier. And it did take time to slowly introduce these classes. So like I said, at the very beginning, we had started with the hit party and combat queens. And I slowly introduced weight training. So it wasn't all at once. It's funny, the strength class, I have one class, it's called Win the Day. So we call it Win the Morning, Win the Day. That's on a Monday morning at 6:10 in the morning. And it's literally like CrossFit. I die when I do it. It's so intense. And the girls are like swinging 24 kg kettlebells and going mad for it. And it's just, you know, we would never have done that in the beginning. It's just like slowly over time, once you learn and are coached, and because it's live, you can ask a lot of questions. But we'll also get people send us a lot of questions, or be like, can you check my form? We'll get videos in, and, you know, we're happy to correct people's form and things like that. But because the coaching is, so I'm doing the moves myself, you're literally like coaching people exactly through how each movement works, that they gain that confidence, and people aren't afraid to try. Because I'm like, no one's watching you. No one can see you. There was one girl who was like, she would never in her life had done a burpee. Now she's doing devil presses. She's literally on the floor. If she was at the gym, she's like, oh my God, I would never do a burpee. I actually, personally, if I was in the gym, probably wouldn't do a burpee, because I'd be like, oh God, like I have to float on the floor and then up, and I'd be bopping up and down, the hair would be going everywhere. But at home, I'm like, give me more. And people are going mental, you know, and it's great. And you really push yourself. And I feel like that's a huge difference as well with training at home. Yeah, you may be in your living room or your bedroom or whatever time, like you don't need a big space. I'm like, as long as you have, I call it the queendom, which is your mat. Like this is your space. And as long as you have enough space to throw down a mat, you can do anything. Like you don't need you can burpee there, you can jump up, you can do everything on this mat. You don't need to go anywhere else. And that's all the space you need. It's what, 80 centimeters by 180? Like nothing. Yeah, so people are getting great results because they're not afraid to push themselves like you would possibly, and especially in Ireland. I know when you train in different gyms around the world, you can kind of see different, like, do you ever go to a gym in America? Nobody cares. People are going mental. And I'm like, Jesus, look at it. Look at your one over there. But I'm the only one saying that because I'm Irish. And I'm like, oh God, would you look at them? And nobody else is saying that. Everyone's like, you go. Oh my God, you are amazing. And I'm like, oh God, I'm mortified for you. I have secondhand embarrassment over here. But that's very much us and small, you know, villagey mentality. And that's just the way. And it's the same in London. Like I go in London, there'll be girls with like, you know, 80s thongs up their bums and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, like literally die. But nobody cares. And why should we care? Like nobody cares. But anyway, so that is a safety of having Queens Don't Quit in your living room, is that you can push yourself. Nobody's watching you. You know, maybe we have a lot of, especially at the 9:30 class where we would have more moms who've done the school run, and maybe they have done, you know, maybe they have younger kids. They'll be like, oh, you know, my toddler's laughing at me. I'm like, well, that doesn't matter. But like, you know, so you're able to really push yourself more and challenge yourself more. And I'm always like, if you don't know, or if you don't try, you're never going to know. And even myself, when I'm doing it, like, you know, I was doing shoulder presses today and I was like, oh, can I go with the 12s? Like, would I be able to shoulder press the 12? I don't know. Let's give it a try. If I fail, I fail. And who cares? I'll just go back down a weight. You know, that's kind of the beauty of it. It's like, you know, you're not afraid to almost push yourself that little bit more and try something new because you're in your own safe space.
I love that. I think that gives so much freedom to people, like, because I think gym anxiety is a big thing for people where they're actually afraid of how they look in the gym, like you mentioned there. I think that's a cultural thing for sure. You know, I'm sure it's in other places as well, but definitely an Irish cultural thing. Mm-hmm. And that gives people the confidence because you can take some of those workouts and potentially do them in the gym if you ever wanted to explore and go into that environment, and you have all this confidence built up on how to perform it. Yeah, we have a lot of girls who have transitioned. They're still members of the community, but they're taking the workouts to the gym. And we also offer gym plans. Like when I built the app, I was like,
not everybody, people have gone back to the gym, and that's okay. But we're going to give you a program so that you can go to the gym and follow a program and continue your training. So we do offer that as well as having all the online classes, the live classes, and on demand. We offer gym programs as well for those queens who still want to be part of the community. And there are a lot of girls who do that. And I always say girls because 99.9% of the audience are female, and our members. I actually don't think I have any male members.
Yeah, which is, but again, you know your market, you know who you're speaking to. We've got a slightly skew female to male audience on the podcast anyway, so it works quite well. But I want to double back because we've obviously talked a lot about training and the benefits of home workouts. Nutrition is something that you mentioned is also in the app in terms of advice. How do you work that? Is it through recipes or plans? What's the kind of scenario if somebody comes into your ecosystem for Queens Don't Quit? What do you advise in nutrition? Because obviously the results people are getting is the combination of both. Obviously the community is huge, but the combination of the training and nutrition in terms of physical transformation and performance. What approach do you take with nutrition?
Because it started off as workouts, and that's very much so. I wouldn't say that I run like a specific program. It's not a weight loss program. It's not a muscle gaining program, but we have these options. So when you sign up to the app, you're given kind of like options as you go through, like, because your
Instagram is brilliant for nutrition. And that's the reason I ask it, is because the recipes and the nutrition you put up on Instagram is so helpful for people. So I kind of wanted to build it on that.
Yeah. So we do have these options, and they're solely options. And then you join, and then you're given a menu, and you're given a shopping list and everything. So you enter in like your weight and your height, and we will give you macros and calories if you want. You can switch that off, because we've never been, for me, it's always been about building fitness and strength, your cardiovascular, like that's what Queens Don't Quit is. It's an entire lifestyle. You're not here for 8 weeks. We're like building you up for your future, so that, we're doing mobility, so you won't need a hip replacement. We're hoping that if you do lift the weights, like please do, you'll keep the muscle mass. You won't, you'll reduce the risk of getting osteoporosis. Like these are all of the things that, we're building like this whole lifestyle, rather than being like, oh, come and join me for my 6-week booty build. Like that's not what we're about. So when it comes to nutrition, it's the same thing. I'm going to give you a lovely, healthy lifestyle, and you can follow the recipes. If you want, you can, there is the option to follow a weight loss plan or a muscle gaining plan. We do have that on there, but it's general. It's just very like normal, healthy, whole food, no rubbish kind of plan. But a lot of people are on there, and they love it. We're going to change, we're updating the app so that people can add in their own recipes like into it, rather than just sticking to ours as well. That's what we get feedback all the time, which is just amazing. Because you want to make it so that it's like constantly user friendly. But yeah, no, people, they really, the girls, they really enjoy it. And it's almost just like having that guideline, understanding, what, your macros are. Like a lot of people have no idea, or, how much protein I should be eating. And again, it's like those simple things, or like what I find, especially now, there's a whole trend of like, oh, it's low calorie, it's healthy. Oh, that's not healthy. Sorry, I came right up to the mic. Like, no, it's not. And that's something that's really blowing my mind at the moment. And also a little reason why I've started posting healthy, like whole food recipes that are delicious, but that are actually healthy. And I'm like, just because something is low calorie doesn't make it healthy. And I'm very against, like, not against, but I wouldn't buy it myself. And like maybe you do, and that's totally fine. But things like 1 calorie spreads and sweeteners and all of this kind of thing. And I feel like that is also, there's a few people I follow on Instagram who are like doctors who are like recommending all different kinds of lifestyles, but like eating more for, like we should be eating loads of fruits and like adding honey and maple syrup. And there's no harm in doing that. And I feel like especially those things in the past have been kind of like outcast, and everyone's like, oh no, I'm not going to do it. Or like olive oil, like there's nothing wrong with a little bit of olive oil, like especially people, oh, you can drizzle that in olive oil. I'm like, you're using 1 teaspoon or maybe a tablespoon for a family of 5. That's like, it ends up being 20 calories each, and it's better than a 1 calorie spray full of chemicals. I don't know where I got into this.
Yeah, no, I agree, but it gives me a nice little segue onto
you
it.
know?
Yeah, but nutritional guidelines is something in terms of how you follow it personally, because what I love about your method, Maeve, is very similar to my approach personally and professionally, that I think calories, macros, and specifically dialing things in for someone with a goal for a photo shoot or a holiday, as a coach, it's really easy to be like, okay, you're in a deficit, you're hitting your protein requirements. But for general lifestyle, I think just educating people on guidelines, getting protein in your major meals, eating more plants, using more whole foods as opposed to processed alternatives, I think they're great best practices. With your own nutritional guidelines at the minute in your personal life, because your recipes are great, we have a very, very similar approach when it comes to how we eat personally and what we recommend. But with nutritional guidelines that you follow yourself, is that how you work? Is it mostly whole foods? Do you try and get protein in at the major meals? Is there anything that you follow yourself? Obviously, there's going to be trickle down to what you would advise based on what you do. But what's your kind of own nutritional strategy like at the minute in terms of the guidelines you follow, Maeve?
Like pretty much just what I share online is very much what I eat. I'm really funny at the moment with vegetables, and that's only because I've always, as you know, suffered with bloating, and I've actually really, I'm personally, I'm getting a lot more of my carbs from right now from fruits rather than veg, and I find it, one, that I'm way more energized, but also that it's so much easier on my gut. But like with protein and stuff, I'm still like, every meal I'm getting something. I actually was diagnosed that I was allergic to eggs, and eggs were causing me a lot of issues. And I have actually completely taken those out of my diet. Now, not in things, but like just like a whole egg. And that's made a huge difference to my gut health. Massive difference. Couldn't quite believe it until I told my mom. I was like, you'll never guess what? And she was like, what? And I was like, I'm highly allergic to eggs. And she was like, oh yeah. Sorry, what? She's like, yeah, you were hospitalized as a child. Sure, that's why you never had eggs growing up. And I was like, uh-huh. And she's like, yeah. She's like, I thought like when you were just reintroduced them to your diet, like when you were older. And, because like avocado egg became a thing. And I was like, God, I never did eat eggs growing up. No, I'm like, thanks for telling me, Mom. I could have saved myself a whole book. I'm just joking. But like, turns out that I was actually severely, as a child, could not eat and was hospitalized on more than one occasion for eating eggs. So really allergic to, and so I went to like a doctor, and we did like this whole, you do the blood, the stool, the urine test. Actually fascinating. I had asbestos in my urine from air conditioning. Isn't
in London?
That insane? No, in Dubai. So we had to get that sorted. It's not there anymore, but at the time it was. I was like, no way, couldn't believe it. And she also was like, you drink a lot of fizzy drinks. And I was like, oh my God, I do. I do. I drink a lot of fizzy drinks. I can't help myself. That is my downfall. My downfall is the carbonated beverages, especially a Diet Coke. I go through real phases of it. But when it comes to my actual diet, I would follow like a nice, I don't count calories. Sometimes I'll count and see, just to be sure, because my lifestyle and my job is so intense. I need to make sure that I'm constantly fueling myself and making sure I'm getting enough. So I do sometimes I'll count for a couple of days just to be sure that I'm definitely hitting targets. I am getting enough protein for recovery. I am getting enough carbs for energy. I always hit my fat goal, and if not more. I actually have quite a high fat diet, but that will come from I eat a lot of cheese because I can't have eggs, so I'll eat a lot of cheese. More like fat, not like cheddar, more like halloumi, feta. There tend to be a better cheese to kind of eat. But yes, so I don't eat things like broccoli and cauliflower and rarely like the spinach and things like that. But just because it wasn't agreeing with me. And I'm like, why am I forcing myself to eat these things when I can just get nutrients from other things that my body actually enjoys eating? And then sometimes I'm like, even if I am eating these things and they're really passing through me and my body's not digesting them, am I getting the nutrients I need? I don't know.
That's what's so interesting about it. I think having that test and experimenting with it, because all these foods will get labeled into kind of the healthy bracket, very similar to you with gut issues and a history of IBS. Like I can't handle things like chickpeas and lentils. So when I try and go plant-based, I may as well be, like I can't be around anybody. Like I just curled over with a pain in my stomach for a day or two until it's all kind of balanced out. So, but they're like traditionally good plant-based foods, and similar to you with broccoli and cauliflower, they're going to be great for somebody else, but that cruciferous res might not be that good for you. I'm curious, Maeve, because you mentioned fizzy drinks, and I had a conversation recently with Dr. Kirsten, who's the IBS dietitian, and she was talking about, because I'm the same as you, I crave fizzy drinks like crazy. I remember
you saying you like the kombucha. Every time I see kombucha, I think of you.
Yeah, it was my hack. It was like, apparently it's really common with people with gut issues and IBS to have that craving, and it's the carbonation that we're craving is what the IBS dietitian was telling me. What did you do with the fizzy drinks? Did you just scale them back, or did you remove them completely, or what does that look like now? How do you? I'm just out of curiosity, out of pure selfish curiosity. What do you do now?
Well, I have a six pack of Diet Coke in the fridge. You know what? Actually, I go through phases. I find that so I actually went alcohol free, sober curious for 80 days from January. So from the very start of January, it was when the app launched. So when the final app launched just before Christmas, and I really wanted to be super focused and super fit and be able to really smash through. I had a bit of a wobble before Christmas, and I just really wanted to be really focused. And I find that alcohol, obviously, it's terrible for you. It's like you're just drinking poison, and it is. Nobody can say it's not, because it is. But you know what? I really enjoy a drink. So I went completely sober for the 80 days, and I felt so good. Oh my God, and my skin was amazing. I was like, hello, I look 20. I'm 37. I was like, this is fabulous. And there was all these really great benefits. I never slept so well in my life, but I did drink. So because I was like, oh, I'm not drinking alcohol, I did go on to drinking Diet Coke. So I had mixed Diet Coke with this lovely, actually. So I mixed Diet Coke with soda water, loads of ice, and fresh lime juice. It's like a cocktail. Delicious. Absolutely. And that was kind of my, I put it in like a big bumper glass. And I was like, oh, I feel like I'm having like something nice, especially on the weekend. So I was like, you know what? I'm not drinking alcohol. Yes, Diet Coke isn't great for me, but you know what? It's keeping me off drinking alcohol, and I am still feeling really great. And then I weaned myself off the drinking of the Diet Cokes just onto soda water. Lovely. Soda water with fresh grapefruit juice. Highly recommend. That's delicious. And then it's like slowly came off that. And then I go through, then after the 80 days, I had a few drinks, and I've had like one or two nights out that have been severely hungover, but I feel like I'm more in this, like, definitely more aware and more conscious of drinking, what it does to me. And I'm like, you know what? If I substitute, instead of having, a bottle of Prosecco or champagne or a couple of tequilas with a Diet Coke, then I'm okay with that. I'm not going to beat myself up at having a Diet Coke.
You're the queen of substitutes, Maeve, because we did a full podcast, not the last episode, the one before on fake away meals. And between that and the alcohol, I think you're covering all the bases for people in terms of the healthier alternatives and swaps. I'll also link those in the show notes for people who want to go back and listen, for anyone that's new to the podcast. Maeve, I just have one final question, but before we get into that, we've talked a lot about the app, obviously, and Queens Don't Quit. For anyone that wants to sign up to the app, I'll link Instagram and the website as normal for anyone that wants to click through. Is the app available everywhere on Apple, is it iTunes, or I think it's changed? It's available everywhere for people.
iTunes.
I was showing my age. I was like, I don't update any of my technological references.
Is that available on the iTunes? Where would I get that now? So you get it on the App Store. It's available on Android and iOS, and we do have the option to Chromecast as well, so you can screenreader or Chromecast if you're wanting to do the classes on a lot of the members, the Queens, they love doing it on the TV. And then of course we are releasing some new gym plans coming up. Like I was filming this morning, 4 a.m. What else are we releasing? New features coming soon. Postnatal. That's a really big one for us right now. On demand, we're separating it into 2 sections. So early pregnancy and later pregnancy. Those will be the two subsections of our postnatal guides. So where you can just bop around and have a lovely time. So that will be full of workouts, strength, cardio, and guided meditation for postnatal queens.
I love it. It's meeting people where they're at, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of that entire journey. So I'll link that in the show notes for people as well on the old iTunes, on the App Store, and everywhere else. Maeve, last question. I'm curious because obviously what I love about you, and I know you're doing this directly and indirectly, is you're empowering women with the Queen's philosophy. Like, I think it puts them front and center, and I absolutely love that. Again, as somebody with a daughter and is heavily in the space of lots of friends similar to you, my partner, my people around me, and the people I work with, I think it's so important that people feel empowered, women in particular. But to flip it on the other side, because obviously you've built such a strong community, why do you think Queens do quit? Or to rephrase, why do you think women sometimes quit and they haven't quite got to that level of the Queens Don't Quit mindset?
I don't think that they do. I think that they just take a break. So they do. And I actually find that we get that a lot actually at Queens Don't Quit, where people will message me and say, you know what, I'm just taking some time off. And I'm like, you do you, because everybody's constantly focusing on different parts of their life. So for example, my father passed away just after my wedding last year, and I took time off working out my whole lifestyle. I took time off Queens Don't Quit. It really delayed my app for 3 months. The whole thing was put on delay, and I didn't quit. I just took the time to focus on rebuilding myself and my mental health and where I wanted to be. And, the last thing I wanted to do during that time was, well, one, I slipped a disc in my back from the stress, like purely from stress and anxiety. Could not move, was in physio day in, day out, trying to heal my back. And that was just emotion. That was just pure grief, like horrendous. And so I took that time off. Did I quit? No. But I quit, I did stop training, but that was okay because I was focusing on something else in my life that was really important, another aspect of my life. And then I came back. And we get a lot of people who do that. And you know what? I think especially with fitness and even with nutrition, or just every part of your life. There will come times when you stop doing something and you give something else your full attention, because at that time it's the most important thing. But I don't think that queens ever really do quit.
I love that. And again, it's such a fabulous answer, because I think knowing where the community is, and for those who are involved, obviously know what's going to be there for when they need it. And for those who aren't involved, knowing where you can go to find a community like that, to surround yourself with like-minded people. And the reason I framed up the question was, sometimes I think our own biggest enemy lives between our two ears, and surrounding yourself with people who have that Queens Don't Quit mindset can lift you up, even if it means you're taking a step back in that quote unquote fitness space. But I think it's the approach and the philosophy of Queens Don't Fit that's so powerful, as opposed to just the standalone workouts, which are obviously great. It's the community, it's the message, it's the philosophy. So Maeve, keep doing what you're doing. So glad we got to catch up and chat on our, I think it's round 4. I think I'm right in saying this is round 4. So. And we won't leave it so long for round 5 again. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're covering our bases. We're on notch for one a year at the minute, so we're doing okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Maeve. Chat to you soon. There you have it. Maeve Madden on why working out at home is better than the gym, nutrition advice for beginners, and why queens don't quit. One of my favorite people to speak to. I could literally talk to Maeve for hours. And one of the things I told her right off the back of this episode is, sometimes I'm doing a podcast with, an expert in nutrition or fitness, and I know what they're going to say in advance, just because it's the area I study and research as well. I never know what Maeve is going to say when I ask a question, and I absolutely love that. So hopefully you enjoyed this recording as much as I enjoyed recording it. If you did, definitely take a screenshot of it, pop it up on your story on Instagram. You can tag me, Brian_Keen_fitness, and Maeve Madden on Instagram. That's everything from me from this week's episode. Catch you all next Monday.